This is a 94 Corvette. Doing a little bit of work on it, I wanted to run through with you. I had the clutch slave cylinder out of it, and I had to bleed it. And I had a little bit of a difficulty figuring out exactly how to do it. Now, I'll show you what I've been through and how I figured out how to get around. The first thing I tried is I had my wife, the usual old tried and true method. Somebody pump the clutch or the brake, whichever one you're bleeding, and then somebody else opens the bleeder valve. And that's one method. It didn't work, and I'll show you why it didn't. So I went to AutoZone and I bought this. This attaches to the bleeder screw and pulls fluid from the master cylinder through the slave cylinder and then into a reservoir. Well, I figured that's probably not going to work either, because it's doing the same thing as pumping the clutch and opening the valve. It's probably not going to work, and I'm going to show you why it's not going to work in a minute. But this is from AutoZone. This is like $40. I'm taking it back. Now, the way to do this job is to do it the opposite way, where you pump fluid from the slave cylinder into the master cylinder, and that's what this does. This is from Napa, and that's what this tool does. It does it just the opposite direction. This is $75, and I'm taking it back because I'm not going to need it. I found an easier and cheaper way to do it, and I'll show you what that method is. So come on over here, and I'll show you the steps that I went through to do the job. I probably don't have to tell you the properties of brake fluid, especially when it comes to getting on rubber and paint surfaces. Be very careful. You see, I cover everything up as a precaution. So the first thing you need to do is you need to get this out of the way, because the master cylinder, clutch cylinder, is underneath this. So you just pop these two screws out. Very simple. Set them someplace. You're not going to drop them. And you kind of have to tilt this up, and it pops right out. And just set it out of the way. And there is the clutch master cylinder. Take the top off. And the first thing you want to do is you want to get a turkey baster and suck all the fluid out of it. So as I mentioned, I got this from Napa, and this will work very well, but it was $75. And it's just a plastic and some tubing. It doesn't look to me like $75 worth of equipment here. So I'm taking it back. I found an easier, much less expensive way to do this. So if you look up here, you'll see the slave cylinder. Get some light. Now, the reason it's not being bled by the normal method of pulling the fluid from the master cylinder through this way is because they put the bleeder nipple on the bottom here, and there is a void up here in the slave cylinder itself that you can't get that air out of there by trying to pull it through. It just doesn't work. What they should have probably done is they should have probably put the bleeder nipple up on top of the cylinder, but they didn't. So you got to push the fluid from the slave cylinder into the slave cylinder and through to the master cylinder. So we've got the master cylinder emptied, and this is what I use right here. This I bought from Bi-Mart. It costs $8. So you hook this up just with a hose. You want to be able to use clear hose so you can see, make sure there's no air coming through. Okay? Hook it up to the nipple, crack the nipple open maybe about half a turn, and just pump away. And you can see that the fluid is clear all the way. There's no air that gets into the system from this little oiler. You got to keep your eye on the reservoir on the master cylinder, because it could fill up and overflow. So you got to periodically check that. At first I was pumping and pumping and pumping and going up and looking to look at the reservoir, and it wasn't filling up. What I was doing was I was filling up the volume of the slave cylinder, and then it finally started to fill up the master cylinder reservoir. And all you need is one fill. I don't even think you'd use half of this to clear out the lines, and it worked like a charm. It worked perfectly. There's absolutely no There's no problems with getting this done. That's it. That's all I have to say about this job. Just button it up when you're done and be done with it.